Time is 2 o'clock. We are going to start yes, I think so. I don't know. The Department of Water Division with their budget hearing. I'm glad to be joined by President Pro Temp Hogan, Councilors Nave, Councilors Paniagua, Councilors Monto, Councilors Joan Rouser, our Clerk's Department, and myself, the City Council, Mayor Gathers, Chair of DPW, along with our Commissioner of Water and Deputy Commissioners and staff. We'll allow the Commissioner to go ahead, and I believe that you get a presentation for us first.
Yeah,
and
just a
then-
few small slides. I tamed it much down from
All right.
previous years, so it should be quick.
So, for the sake of, we have a couple different divisions that we have to go to here.
Yep.
So let's allow for the presentation to go forth and postpone our questions until the presentation is over, anything pertaining to the budget, and we can do things for the sake of time.
Sounds good. So, good afternoon again. Joe Awell, Commissioner of Water, accompanied by Rob Brandt, Deputy Commissioner, and Beth Smith, Management Analyst. I like to go through a quick little PowerPoint presentation to show kind of what we've accomplished this past year and what we have coming up. Just short and sweet. So here's the quick agenda of this presentation, what our operational accomplishments were, what capital projects we did, the challenges we're facing for fiscal year 25 and any upcoming projects, and then open it up for questions. So operational accomplishments, over the past fiscal year, we've replaced approximately 80 hydrants. This is in-house work. Replaced 50 lead service replacements, about 70 valves, and over 1,000 feet of water main. We've tackled 360 water main breaks and leaks. We've installed 60 leak detection sensors, which have identified close to 15 to 20 small leaks before they became big leaks or breaks, so we've tackling them proactively. And we've also upgraded our SCADA system. I know I'll get the question, what does SCADA stand for? It's Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. So that is all of our remote sites, our pump stations, our pressure control, release valves that we have remotely out in the system. All that data comes back to the water shops. We can look at it and see how our system is operating, not only at the shop, but out on the fringes of the distribution system. Previously, before that, we did not have our pump stations incorporated into this system. So each pump station we would have to physically go to see how it was operating. Now we're bringing all that information back as we do water pump station replacements. Our capital projects, we finished up the Brighton Ave pump station and water main replacement project. That installed a brand new pump station. As you can see right there, it was a prefabbed, pre-engineered building. They brought it in on a flatbed, picked it by crane, and dropped it into place. We placed over 3,000 feet of new water main from Rock Cut Road south along Brighton Ave to the city line. We also did our West Genesee project in coordination with city engineering, where we did over 3,600 feet of new water main. But we also did about 2,000 feet, probably a little more, of water main lining, which we have done previously on a project down on Montgomery Street 2 years ago, I think it was. So instead of replacing the main itself, we actually lined it.
Joe, I'm going against the mayor's wishes. So when we replace those pump stations,
See, the mic doesn't even want you to speak.
when we replace those pump stations inside a little tiny neighborhood, how do you get those in there? Like the Mosley, you're going to replace that one, right?
Correct.
The same thing?
Yep, so we're going to be pre-packaged. Each pump station, that was a little bit bigger because that's a little bit bigger of a pump station because of the capacity. In the smaller neighborhoods, the smaller pressure districts, it'll be smaller. I think one of them really is not, if you squared off these tables, it might be that size. That's it. That way it's prefabbed and you're not having a lot of excavation equipment to pour foundations and all the concrete trucks. You'll pour a concrete slab and then bring the station in and pick it and drop it. And then we did a problematic block of West Fayette Street, which we had numerous breaks on, so we replaced all the main and services on that block.
How much does it cost to replace a water station?
A pump station? It's all dependent on its size, capacity, how many pumps, do you have backup generation?
Something like that.
That project with the water main and the pump station itself, I think was $3 million. The pump station itself was about 1 million.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. These are some other capital projects that we have started in fiscal year '24, and they're in construction right now. We haven't completed them, so they're going to carry through from this fiscal year to the next. We have the Brookford Pump Station and water main replacement. That is, we got the executed contract last week, so that schedule is going to be coming out. They're going to be starting that probably in the next few weeks, along with the Westminster Pump Station and water main replacement. The next project that we have that is currently out for bidding is the Guilford Pump Station and water main replacement project. And all three of these are ARPA funded. So this is the big push to get these projects, all the funding encumbered, because ARPA expires, I think, at the end of this year. And the other projects we have out are our pressure reducing valve vault stations. There's 3 of them we need to replace, and we're coordinating that effort with city engineering and the New York State DOT as part of their contract to work. Some of the challenges we're facing, similar to last year and this year, is the rising cost of materials, labor, medical insurance, and just the effort to repair our aging infrastructure. I'm sure you guys are well aware of, you heard me say it 100,000 times, that some of our infrastructure is over 100 years old. Some of it was put in 1892, 1894, and that's some of the bigger stuff is very important to the transmission of water from one side of the city to the other. So with all these upcoming projects and replacements that we need to do in coordination with the big I-81 project, in order to meet these challenges, we're looking at doing a 2% rate increase. So your quarterly minimum would change from $43.81 to $44.69. We're also looking to introduce 3 new fees. We have a decent amount of appointment cancellation. So similar to like if you make a dentist appointment or doctor's appointment and you cancel it at the last minute, we have already scheduled our guys to go out and make this, say, meter replacement. And then we get to the house and nobody's there, and now we have to bring our guys back. So we've just expended, labor, equipment time, effort. So we're looking at doing a cancellation fee, or call a no-show fee for your service appointment, because we make specific appointments at a particular time for our guys to dedicate their time to go out there. Looking at like $25. We would put it on their water bill.
Does that happen a lot?
We get a fair amount of cancellations, or we make the appointment and no one shows up. So we can't get in to do the repair, and then we have to come back and reschedule, phone call, and all the other problematic stuff. Plan review fee. So this is for something we're looking at out in the watershed. As part of the watershed, we have our staff review any kind of building plans, septic system plans, anything that we have to review before somebody can build in the watershed. Right now, it's a free service, courtesy of our staff out there, but our staff's time is valuable. So again, that should be we should be reimbursed for the development that's going on out in the watershed. And then the last one would, right now, we just provide a blanket hydrant permit. So you can get a seasonal, you can get a daily. A lot of the contractors that come in to get these permits use them for demolition or other use, and they can leave their water running as long as they want with no implications to their fee or their permit. So what we're looking at doing is metering that usage and charging them the same rates as city customers. So not only would they have a permit fee, they'd have a usage fee. So if they just let it run on the ground all day long, we're going to capture that. So some of the upcoming projects and work we have planned for this fiscal year 25 is the Mosley Pump Station and water main replacement project. That's going to be going into construction probably later this summer. Now that one involves a large number of water service replacements, probably close to 350 water service replacements, over 8,000 feet of water main replacement and a pump station. So it's a pretty big project. So we're trying to work on coordination of materials, community outreach when we get there, and all the impacts that we're going to see. And I-81 coordination with water main replacements. We've been working very closely with the New York State DOT and where they're doing work, where we need to, complement their work in providing new water mains or services. So not only are they providing new water mains and materials and services, we're going to do that too. So that way we get more of a dig once approach in these neighborhoods that the DOT is doing work. We are still tackling our intake number 2 extension. We're in the design phase. That phase should be wrapping up towards the fall. And then we'll start looking at doing some pre-procurement of the piping needed for that intake extension prior to that construction bid going out. One of the last pump stations we have to replace is the Comstock pump station, which is critical to our distribution system. It takes water from the low system up to the intermediate high district, which is all around the university. It encompasses some of the hospitals and also the north side in the Eastwood area. And on top of all that stuff we're doing, we're also trying to get some more water main replacements on some of these problematic streets, coordinating with engineering on North Beach Street to do a dig once, so it'd be pavement, it'd be sewer, it'd be water, sidewalks, curbing, all that on that North Beach Street between Hawley and Burnett. We want to tackle Sealy Street, which has been problematic for us in the past. There's tons of cuts on there because it's an old water main. Want to replace it, and that way we can be off of that hill. Lynch Street, Elm Street, and Forest Hill Drive. That's all I got. So any questions?
Any questions on the presentation before we head to the budget? None, all right. Page 239. Oh, you do you?
You said as far as you wanted to charge a fee for cancellation, in reference, doctor's appointments. So you guys don't do a call in advance before going out, like just to confirm that someone is there?
We do, and sometimes we'll get people and they're like, oh, I totally forgot, or, last minute, because we give them a window of what time we'll be there, and we give them typically like a half hour. Hey, we're going to be there in the next half hour, so final call. And then sometimes we get an answer, sometimes we don't, sometimes they forgot.
Okay, so it's basically with that same day, within 30 minutes is when they call. Okay, because doctor's appointments, they send something out a few days before, like a text message, to confirm that you still want that appointment. So I'm just wondering if the advance call, apparently 30 minutes might not be working, would be something that is, implemented a little better to kind of avoid charging people. And then if they confirm and then you go.
Yeah, if we get a hold of them, they confirm, we go out, we do our work. It's the ones that, oh, I totally forgot, and I'm, in Buffalo, I can't be there. Well, that's we're en route, because we do the phone calls as we're out and about in the field, and we're en route.
Yeah,
So it's not like we're sitting at the office making the phone call ahead of time. The guys that are in the field making the calls.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility of adding like a 1 to 2 day advance call to say, just confirming that you have an appointment on this day? And then if they still, in that 30-minute time period, say, oh, I forgot, like we just called you 2 days ago to
Yeah, I think
confirm that.
we don't really schedule too far in advance. Maybe it's a week and a half tops in advance. So it's not like we're scheduling months out.
Okay.
So it's a short duration up front.
Right to page 239. So we got the meter readings anticipated at 152,800. All this seems to be going good. Records handling accounts.
Yeah, here you go.
Let's see. Any questions on that or anything on the collection of delinquent accounts at all?
It's all done electronically now,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Meters, more or less?
Yes.
You have specials, like you send people out
We
at
have a
the
couple
meter?
ones that we have to read,
Yeah.
but 99% is all either remote read, touchpad, and that.
I was a meter reader, water meter reader one time,
Get your
for the
step-
Department of Water.
Nice.
I got bit by a goat in the
A
summer
goat?
one time, yeah.
Oh.
You know,
That's
Somebody
a different one.
was keeping the goats in their backyard. I know.
How much of a hindrance is the AS400 on handling your billing?
The AS400 is an old system. It works, but
Old as Hogan's goats?
it may be older. But
Little ethnic humor there by Mr. Monto. Mr. Monto.
yeah, I guess that's one of the last computer systems that we're involved in that should be upgraded. But that's more than just the water department, because that involves tax and all the other departments involved that use AS400. But we've been doing as much as we can to get the bulk of our data out of AS400. That's why we implemented that CMMS CityWorks system. We have GIS. We just went to Neptune 360, which is the new Neptune meter reading software. But we still have to put that back into AS400 to get our bills out. So if we had a different billing system, we could, if we had the right staff and we're able to do reads more often, we could probably get bills out more than just quarterly, or at least get the data, and it could be reviewed more frequently than on a quarterly basis.
Do you manually put it back into the AS400?
No, we've been working with the API team to get it automatically dumped back in, so we don't have to do all that manual work.
So it's like a 1994 process instead
Correct.
of a 1980.
Correct.
93, thanks, Frank.
It's definitely not on Windows 95.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's fine with, you didn't gain or take away any of your positions for the water finance portion. Personal services, everything looks pretty good. Operating expenses. We'll head over to the Division of Engineering side. Let's see. Anticipated water quality control.
So you're in the next one, right?
Oh, yeah. We're moving along, moving along. Everything seems to be the same. Materials.
So no overtime, right?
Well, so for the contracted side of the
What page you on?
242? No, this is all the same thing. Yeah, this is the division of water engineering side. How much contracted work are we doing versus in-house? That was gonna be my question as well.
It depends. Like some of these bigger projects, especially getting for service replacement, we got to get onto private property when we do a lead service replacement. So having that liability, we've been handing that off to the contractor because they got to provide a 1-year warranty. So that way we give that work out, and we don't have city staff going into houses, city staff on the lawns, It's all contracted out. So the contractor has to maintain that lawn, put everything back, and it's all put on them. So right now, it's depending on our staffing levels. In the last few months, we've increased our staffing levels. So the more we can do in-house, the more we're going to tackle in-house. But it all comes down to staffing and dedication. Because of our number of breaks and leaks, we can't, if we are short-staffed, having 1 crew, 1.5 crews, we can't dedicate a crew to a project that's all they do, because there could be a break that they got to stop and move. So it's all depending on staffing levels and scheduling on crews.
System surveying and mapping, issuance of permits. Well, that seems to be good. We'll go to the next. All right. So, that's the next one. Okay, so this is all your stuff here.
Commissioner, how much ARPA money have you used for water infrastructure?
How much have we used?
Yeah.
I think we were allotted 10 million and we've used 7.5.
And the other
Fine.
2.5 is already allocated?
Yep. So we've encumbered, once we get this next project awarded, we've encumbered everything.
So if we had a scenario, and I know you're a guy who thinks ahead, if we had a scenario, like say, ARPA money became available out of the supposedly everything's allocated fund, would you be able to use it?
I can use everything you
Before-
give me.
Okay, and quickly enough to like
Oh, yeah,
get it done before 2026?
yes.
Okay, good to know.
So in the personal service details of the water side, I see we have a leak detection technician that we just got.
244?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
gonna
so
help.
we have two positions that we've put in there. One was a construction inspector because of all the construction happening that either with the DOT or our stuff and our contractors, having a set of eyes to make sure that all gets installed correctly. We can't be in 10 different places at once. We want to get, instead of hiring that out to our consultant, we want to keep some of that work in-house. And the other one is a leak detection technician. Again, with those sensors, 60 sensors, they've been doing a good job identifying small leaks, but they're portable. So once we set them in place, we pick them. We found any leaks in that neighborhood, we'll pick them and move them to another neighborhood to start checking leaks for there. So it's what we call a pick and shift rotation.
Speaking of
And
leaks,
that's almost a full-time job.
how are we doing with the reservoirs?
Reservoirs are good. If you're referring to Morningside in particular.
Are there any? One's been getting repaired, right?
Yep, so that's the one, Morningside one.
Morningside? Okay.
We put the south tank back online. We found us still was leaking very, very small. So we're looking at some additional lining on the tank to prevent any additional leakage.
Was that our error, or was it just
It's
Mother
just
Nature?
trying to find those hairline cracks inside the tank. We actually went and toured the inside of the middle tank, and we had just washed it out, cleaned it out, and getting ready, prepared to put online. And with the water inside the tank, you could faintly see these small cracks in the floor. I'm not sure if that's the culprit, because, like I said, they're hairline, but there's material underneath them. But with, you put 20, 30 feet of water on top of it, that may be enough pressure just to push it out through those cracks. So we're going to be looking at what kind of a lining or coating we can put on the inside of the tanks to kind of seal any of that concern up.
What's that stuff called? Flex seal, yeah, you can't flex seal or
No, we can't use Flex Seal. I love it. With what it claims, that would be the ideal product, but not for drinking water.
We're looking at a 2% increase, you said, right?
Correct.
How do we compare to other cities around us? Cost of water, are we the cheapest?
We're not, I don't think we're the cheapest anymore, but we are one of the lowest. Regionally, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but every department has been increasing, just based on cost of doing business. So, yeah, I haven't looked at what Buffalo is or Rochester and Albany, but yeah, they were typically higher than us. Even Aqua also.
So constituent calls and says, why is my water going up? What's the increase of materials? Is it doubled in the last 5 years? You have a slide?
So that was on the slide. So right there, you can kind of see the top one is the pipe cost per size. Not that you can see it very good, it's a little small. But that gray bar is the percentage increase from last year to this year. And each of those colored lines is from 2019, 2020, everything stood still, 21, 22, 23. So you can see that the cost, especially the bigger pipe, is going up. And as we get into the bigger transmission stuff, that's costing more. Now, valving cost was going up, but it's kind of stabilized right now. And it's kind of even across the board. So we haven't seen a real increase in our valve cost, but the pipe cost. And when you start doing 10,000 feet of pipe a year, those numbers add up. And that's where we try to buy the pipe to give to the contractor, because we can do a huge cost savings with our contract price versus their price and their markup. So the more we can put in the ground, the better off we are.
Commissioner, how much of the system are you comfortable with? Like, I mean, we've been around, some of us have been around a long time when there's water breaks and all that, and I know you and your department have done a great job of replacing a lot and shoring up a lot of things that needed to be shored up, but how much of the system are you pretty comfortable with?
To be honest with you, I think the system, for its age, is doing very, very well. The things that yeah, please.
So am I.
So biggest thing that we're trying to tackle up front is like the mechanical components, the pump stations, the stuff that can wear out. That is where we've been focusing our efforts. So I think, once we get these pump stations done, Brookford, Westminster, Guilford, pretty much the last one we have in the system to really tackle is Comstock, which is a big one. Once we get Comstock done, pretty much all the mechanical in-city components are complete. So now we can focus our efforts on the distribution.
So once you optimize the stations, the pump stations, how long is the life of this station?
Pump station's life is 30 years.
30 years.
Can I ask you about Lodi Street, Burnett Ave?
Yes.
Are you planning to dig right there
Yes.
to replace it? Okay.
So it's in conjunction with the state work, because the state is going to be replacing Main at Burnett and Lodi, and also providing another leg down Lodi towards Water Street and Erie Boulevard. So in conjunction with their work, we want to take the water main that's had numerous breaks on it on Lodi near Oak and replace that water main going north on Lodi. We'd love to get up to Hawley, but it depends on what the impacts are.
We had water main breaks over on Dale in that area, and when you recall, it had to do with that. There was a break there.
Yeah, so that intersection's been, it's called problematic.
There's a flow right there.
Yep.
So how old is that? If you had to estimate, how old is
The Burnett main
Yeah,
is
well,
from
you had-
1894.
1894?
Correct. It's a good year for pipe
Could
and
have made out
line.
of wood or something.
No, it's all cast iron.
No, it's amazing we have that much infrastructure that's that old.
And a lot of that stuff we see is we have joint leaks. So
Right.
if we can, like we've done the lining down on Montgomery Street, that'll seal up all those joints. We did it over on West Genesee Street. Instead of pulling out that big cast iron pipe that is probably 1.5 inches thick, we see the more problems occur at the joints where the joint starts to leak. So if we line the inside of the pipe, there's no more joints to leak. And now we don't have to pull all that old infrastructure out and the big infrastructure and put in new stuff when we
You
can
did
just
that
line
with
it.
the old, when you did the Big Butternut project, you took a lot of old water pipes too.
Yes. Butternut was all new water main, all new water services, and that was a total replacement. The lining we've done on Montgomery and West Genesee Street are the two ones we've done lining on. That lining, they're estimating, they've used it in Europe for over 50 years and they haven't had issues with it, so we're looking at about a 50-year lifespan on that lining. So now we've just taken a 100-plus-year-old pipe and added another 50 years onto it. I think that's pretty good, return on that investment from 1894.
What percent of the city are you comfortable to say it's fully functional, like you want it?
That's a tough question. Fully functional, like the way I'd like it. We have a lot of old infrastructure, but it's functioning. What I would like to do is just kind of, let's call it beef it up or back it up. Stuff that we have that's running good, let's not, just throw it out because it's old. Let's work with it, line it. If there's sections that need to get replaced, let's replace it.
So is it still more cost effective to fix it than to put it in new?
It depends on the situation. If it's a street where you have a ton of underground utilities, like through downtown, you have fiber, you have cable, you have gas, you have, telephone, you have sewer, that can be very costly because now you have to jump all these utilities and work around all these utilities. You got to keep everything in service. So that where it may be more cost effective to leave the old main in place and line it, because then you're not disturbing all those utilities, and you only have to dig at your places where you're actually inserting the spray nozzle to line the pipe. So that's how we looked at Montgomery. Instead of going, through the whole street and opening everything up, we looked at each intersection, and we opened up each intersection, and we were able to line the pipe without disturbing the whole street.
So when you line it, is that like putting a Band-Aid until it
No,
breaks
it's
again, or-
actual structural lining, epoxy lining.
Okay.
So it actually helps, adheres to the pipe, and it helps structurally to the pipe. So it's not like you're just gonna cover it over with Flex Seal and hope it doesn't break.
With with the county doing some similar work, are they like on the same page? Are they using the same thing or like?
County
are
like
we-
Aqua.
Yeah,
So we work closely with Aqua on different projects. We have a lot of different connections between us and Aqua. So if we're doing a project, they're doing a project, we'll kind of coordinate efforts. For example, down on the Brighton Pump Station project, which that's PIP photos, the inside of the new pump station. We had to renew our connection to their pipe up at the Lafayette Country Club. So we worked closely, and if they had to do any improvements, they did the improvements at the same time we were doing ours.
So that coordination, obviously, the mayor announced that was gonna be a housing project there, up there on Lafayette Road, right?
Correct.
So you're working with Aqua, considering that some of that project's gonna be on in the town of Onondaga, and some of it's gonna be here. in the
Yeah,
city.
so it's half is in the city, half is in Onondaga. And I kind of double checked, but I think, we had always supplied the golf course with city water. And I don't know if that parcel's
And the fair,
within
too,
our
right? The state
jurisdiction.
fair?
We used to,
Okay, we don't anymore.
correct.
That's good, I learned something. When that stop?
12 years ago? Somewhere around there.
Now, Tim, as far as, I'm assuming this, that all the debt service, his bonds is paid out of the water reserve fund? Yeah, so you keep that separate like that? Okay.
Correct.
And it's about 5 million, 5 something?
Annually, yeah,
Yeah,
roughly
your
5.
bonding, okay.
All right.
And we're still going after any kind of grants and funding and that type of stuff. So
You
as
do
they
that
come up,
mostly in-house?
yes, we do that all in-house.
Identify and then,
Correct.
okay. How's that going?
Well,
mean,
it's
good?
going real well. We haven't really tackled any grant funds recently because we've had the ARPA money, and previous years we had the grant money. So right now, our big push is looking at lead service replacement and any kind of WIA grants or intermunicipal agreement grants to do any coordination work.
And you're aware of course, the new water line that's being proposed to Lake Ontario to support
Correct.
the Micron project? And you're coordinating with
Yep.
the county on that?
Yep.
All right, page 246, the water quality management.
Sixties.
246. Surprised we don't have more dead deers removed from the watershed there.
Well, let's hope people don't hit them as often.
So the watershed inspector is not there anymore?
No, those are positions that we've struggled historically to fill because it requires a 4-year degree.
Okay.
And we've been coordinating with Onondaga County Soil and Water Conservation to kind of, because it's kind of a seasonal thing, it's only during the summertime. We've been coordinating with them to kind of fill that role.
So the Skinny Atlas watershed. Anything you want to fill us in on that one, or?
Nothing's really changed on that.
All right, now we're going to the water plant. Now with the repaired hydrants, it's on page 252. Are we pretty close to like maximizing, funds for replacing the hydrants that need to be replaced?
So yeah, we'll go through and do some proactive inspection and repair. If it doesn't need to be replaced, we won't replace it, but a lot of these replacements, either it's a substandard hydrant, so it only has 2 nozzles instead of 3. or they've been hit by a car. So if they've been hit and we have a police report, that effort to replace it and repair it, we can then bill the insurance companies for that.
Was there a replacement at Furman Park on Midland, Cortland, Castle, that little triangle? Within the last, was that a fire hydrant replacement?
I would have to double check that location, but
Yeah, okay. Well, let me just back up a little bit, just because of the fact that we have to dig once. I'm not certain where the hydrant, was kind of lost, but that had just had like new sidewalk done and all of that last summer. And, a section of that was taken out. So when the whole, like, any project is coming through, do they not go to each department to make sure that every? Oh, I don't think it was working prior. It wasn't working.
so
No.
what we try and do, proactively is if there's a street that we're not typically gonna be on, we'll go out and sound for leaks, see if there's any leaks in the street before, like, road recon gets there. And we'll listen to the hydrants. And a lot of our leak detection stuff, what we've been finding is that a lot of these leaks that we're tackling proactively are on old services that have been abandoned correctly, or services that are leaking on the private and or public side, but also hydrant branches. And these leaks can occur even after, we listen to it, everything's quiet. After the construction equipment goes through, vibratory rollers, all that can shake stuff up, and leaks can occur after the fact. So, that might have been a situation where it wasn't leaking, and then they dug and excavated for the sidewalk, put all that stuff in, and just that movement and that pressure on the ground that's not typical could have caused a leak.
That one was hit.
All right, Mr. Nader, do you have anything to say or comments, questions, anything? Brian, good? What's that? I got you. Okay. Anybody, other counselors have anything to say? Guys, anything further that you would like to discuss with us about the budget or anything like that?
No, I think that's it. That's about it.
All right, get one shot, we'll dig once.
That's right. I'll dig it.
I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.